Hi there, you're listening to Gris Gordon on Hellblazer.biz.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, listeners, wherever you may be in the world right now. Well, tonight I might have to call you Sasanax. Thanks for tuning in, because I appreciate all your support as always. Today I am proud to bring to you someone who is active online, and who, in a very rare instance, ensures he follows everyone back, which is no mean feat when you've got 30,000 followers. He is no stranger to either treading the boards or being on the big screen, or the small screen, and the latter has actually seen him being a soldier, a gangster, and more so for this interview, a Highlander. Today I am proud to bring to you the illustrious Ross from Outlander, Scott Kyle.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone, say could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, islands and seas, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me is gone.
Good evening, Scott. How are you?
Good evening, Chris. I'm very well, thank you. I'm sitting here in the Bathgate Regal office doing a wee interview with you. So,
Well, you couldn't get much better than that, could you? I'm sat in my little office as well, my little study, with a drum kit next to me and flowers behind, so you've got a nice scenic thing to look at.
nice, and the wonders of technology means we're connecting. Wonderful.
It does, yeah. And we're not that far away, to be fair. I'm only in North Wales.
Well, that's a 5-minute walk if I run, you know.
Yeah, it's still a fair way from Glasgow, but at least it's not as far as the States, yeah. Yeah, I've driven there a couple of times. Whew. Long drive. Excellent. So, as you know, I've got some questions for you, just to go over some general questions, and we've had some fans who've sent questions in, which I know you've seen, because Twitter went ballistic when when I invited you on. I've got to say, I think I've 6,000 impressions from that tweet, where I said, ask for questions for you. Which is
that's a pretty big deal. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
After you shared it, it went ballistic.
I think we're messing up the plan. My tiny part in Outlander was not supposed to result in 30,000 followers. That was not the plan. Nobody's seen that coming, least me, least of all.
That's pretty impressive, to be fair.
I think I was in, say my 20 lines or so and get the hell out of there and not disturb anybody. And it's kind of exploded on me. So
It has, it's gone ballistic. And what's more impressive is something I've already mentioned in the introduction, is the fact that you followed back every single one. Now that's very rare, and that's really impressive, and something that all the fans love you for.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I was kind of new to Twitter, and I remember I actually helped Stephen Walters set up his Twitter. Mm-hmm. He was asking me about it, and I helped him set up his Twitter. And I kind of said to him, "This is what you should be doing. You'll get followers, and you'll follow back kind of famous people." Yeah. and he said to me, "Are you not on Twitter?" And I said, "No, I'm not on it." He says, "You should go on it as well then." And I was like, well, nobody's really interested in me, Stephen. Do you know what I mean? Nobody knows who I am or anything. So I set up the Twitter anyway. And I think Stephen's one of my first followers. Right. And I just followed people back as they. I thought, oh, that's nice. That person's followed me. I follow them back. Mm-hmm. And that's been my method. And here we are, 30,000 odd later, and it's mad that people are saying, "Oh, wow, it's really kind of you to follow back." And I'm saying, if you walked into the foyer of the theatre that I work in and said hello, I would say hello back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's how I see it. It's like I work in the entertainment industry in terms of the theatre here, so I know that the audience for the theatre shows are very, very important to the theatre. We wouldn't be here without them, and I think I just take that on Twitter, that without the fans supporting the show, that there wouldn't be a show. So of course I'm delighted, and if people are interested in what I'm doing, then I'm interested in them. So. Happy days.
Fair enough. It's a nice thing to hear as well, actually, because I know most of the people I speak to say the same thing, and it's nice to hear that there's so much passion from you guys for the fans as well as everyone else, because with that, if people don't watch things in the TV shows like Outlander or anything like that, then it's true they won't get picked up and they won't be so successful. But it's lovely when we get interaction back from you guys, who are the cast members as well. And there's quite a few. Outlander's very good like that as well. I think you're very interactive with all the fans.
Oh, I mean, Stephen Waters has made these videos and stuff like that. You know, he's got a real talent. He makes a music video. I can't do that. I can't do a music video. He's got a real talent. I'll need to rely on kind of funny videos and daft stories and signings and stuff like that.
Well, that's still fair enough. It's still good enough. But yeah, when they get creative like Stephen, and it's
yeah, I always say to folk that when you go to like a house party, you know, if you go to a house party and you're there with different actors, there's always like somebody with a guitar, you know, that's really cool and they can play the guitar, and there's somebody up there that can cook all the food, you know, that's their gift. They're really good at that, and there's somebody that's mixing the cocktails and making you up strange concoctions you never dreamed of, right? Somebody else in the corner telling the funniest story you've ever heard in your life. I'm the guy that I take out the rubbish. That's my talent. I'll take out the rubbish, right? I'll clean up.
It's funny you mention that. Do you know Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan or John Joe O'Neill? Well, John Joe might do because he's quite Royal Shakespeare and so Matt. But
I don't know them. I've not worked with them.
Yeah, they're in constant. But I spoke to those two together. They were roommates, and exactly what you just said. They're both guitar players. They both sit, and you know, exactly. You get put people together, and they've all got the different talents. So yeah, people ended up saying that just sounded like three mates chatting in a pub, because it just turned into a debacle of hilarity and.
That's it. When you get big personalities together, everybody's talent kind of shines. As I say, on the set of Outlander, you got different people like Graham McTavish is a wonderful storyteller. So it tends to be when Graham's about, everybody's listening, and he's telling some fantastic stories. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of how it works. Everybody's got a gift.
Excellent. I actually wanted him on my show. He follows me, and he did say he would. Last year, but his schedule got so hectic as well.
Yeah, he's a lot more busier than me.
Didn't mean it like that.
I think he was working on Rambo and he was doing The Hobbit. You know, he's doing different things.
Yeah, he was doing everything, wasn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. So yeah, but it's great. It's brilliant, and yeah, the interaction things from you guys from Outlander again is something that you see on some shows, but not all. That the interaction helps the fans relate more to the show and relate more to what's going on, and it just brings it like a close-knit family, and that's what the fandom is like. It's the same with another show I did last year, Constantine, which Matt was in, and it was very much the relationship between the cast and the fans. It was very much a symbiotic relationship, as you've already mentioned, and Outlander is definitely that kind of show from what I've seen myself.
Yeah, so, I mean, the amazing thing for me has been, like, my mum's on Twitter and on Facebook, you know, my wee mum. Yeah. And she's chatting away to everybody, and she's putting up some, you know, daft, embarrassing pictures of me as a kid in the school play, or all these daft things. And and my mum's meeting friends out of it. You know what I mean? And that's the reality of it. Is that obviously people are enjoying the show, but the fandom thing is building real long-lasting friendships. And some of them come over here. This year we did a Highlander Fling event at the theatre that I work at, and it was to raise money for the theatre first and foremost, but it was a gathering of some like-minded, really nice folk, and there was people flying from all over the world.
Wow.
Friends that they'd met online. You know, there's people coming from down south, people coming from America, people coming from Canada, and these are all people that know each other online, but they were meeting each other at the Regal Theatre for the first time. So it was really cool. You know, it was a really exciting thing, a really nice thing to see. Whereas sometimes as much as people maybe see the acts on the stage, sometimes you don't see the fandom, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Somebody in the office there.
That's all right. Yeah, no, that makes total sense, and that is pretty awesome. Coming from all, you know, coming from
I got a survey done. One of the board members done a survey of the addresses and where people were from, and 50% of the people that came were kind of USA and Canada. Do you know what I mean? Of the night, you know what I mean? Of the percentage of folk there. And some of the other ones were maybe from down south, England, Wales, different places. So a real international crowd came to the Regal Theatre in Bathgate, which is a wee town in West Lothian. You know, I mean, the only thing that people associate with West Lothian and Bathgate is Susan Boyle. You know, Susan mentioned the place on the TV. I think a few people Googled it.
Yeah, and found out where it was. But what a great thing to have, though, and what a great selling point for Bathgate as well, is just to have everyone come and visit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a real buzz in the town. The local restaurants did well, the local hotels. So the event that we held was raising funds for the Regal, but it actually gave the local economy a boost as well. So, yeah, it was phenomenal. And the nicest thing as well was the people that have left have already bought tickets for next year. So they've had a good time. You know, I mean, that most thing, they've came along and had a wonderful time, and they want to come back for more next year.
Brilliant.
So,
I was about to ask that, say, you know, are they going to plan a reunion and do it, make it a yearly thing?
Yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. And we were lucky this year that Stephen Walters from Outlander, who plays Angus, he came along, and you know, he was signing autographs and chatting away to folk, and people kept saying it was really nice to get to spend time with the guys, because I think sometimes when they go to the bigger conventions, they don't get a lot of time to meet folk. You were literally in the room, we're all having a party together, you know, so you get a chat and everything. So it was all good.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about Comic Con. We'll get on to the questions in a minute. I think that's the thing about Comic Cons is they are so big and there's so many people. I mean, there's a local one here, Wales Comic Con, which you'll have to come to. I'll put you in touch with the guy.
I was going to say that you get me invited then.
Yeah,
I'll go to the opening of an envelope if they invite me. You know,
it is a cracking. They do 2 a year. They've started this year doing 2 days, one in April and 2 days in April, 2 days in November. But they've normally only done it one day, and it is an amazing show. It's a family show. There's, you know, and it's nice. I always go there, but I've been to other ones and I just couldn't cope because it was just so busy.
So busy. And so many people want to meet folk, you know.
Exactly, yeah. People, like you say, people come from all over the world for the bigger conventions, and I mean, people do for Wales Comic Con, but it's not. It's the atmosphere of cosplay and everything is just so different there. It just makes it a very special one. So. I'm not getting any kudos or any selling points for mentioning them. But no, it is a good one. I'll put you in touch with Jamie
good man.
For that one. But it'll be good to see you down here.
If I'm invited, I'll be there.
Graham's been before, actually.
Graham gets about. I don't know much about the Comic Con things, but most of the guys on set, when they were getting invited, they were asking Graham's advice, because I think he's been on the circuit a lot longer than most of the
few of them. Yeah, from the Hobbit and stuff. He does a lot with the Hobbit.
Yeah, he's done a lot.
Yeah, it's through one of the Hobbit guys I got in touch with Graham, actually. Jed Brophy, one of his Hobbit friends, one of his dwarfs friends.
Oh.
Excellent. Right, so we'll get on to the questions now.
Right, well, you better do your job, yeah.
I know, yeah. Well, this is my job, getting it all out of you, just having a nice relaxed ramble, that's what it is.
Luring me in.
It is, yeah, luring you in, and then making you relaxed, and then we can we're in. So what kind of made you decide to get into acting in the first place? How long have you been involved?
I've always enjoyed storytelling, and I take it back to in primary school and you know, kind of and in high school, being the class clown, you know, liking to tell a story or two, and that continued when I played in the football or the soccer team. If there's American listeners, I used to play in my local team, and I was always kind of the joker, you know, kind of in the team. And I was basically working in a supermarket, and my wife said to me, "Why don't you go to college and do something that you enjoy doing?" And I went and auditioned for an acting course.
All right, cool.
And did 3 years at college doing that. I graduated. I set up a theatre company. We toured the country. We did really well. We got lucky. We picked a big show, or we picked a nothing show and made it a big show.
Right.
And then I was touring, and I came across the Regal Theatre. And they were talking about shutting it down, and I got involved 5 years ago, and we're still here. So yeah, that's the kind of the short answer of it. So I do as much acting work as I can, as and when I get the opportunity. But my big passion, I love, is working in this theatre and making sure it's here for future generations.
Fair enough. That sounds great. It's good that you've been so passionate as well. It's something. I've people bored of hearing it now, because I'm sure I've said it so many times. I used to love acting when I was in school at A level and GCSE, but it stopped there. I was invited to do LAMDA at one point, but my parents, in the best interest and love them to bits and would never change it, decided to steer me in a different career, in a more stable career.
Yeah, that's probably a good move. I know an awful lot of unemployed great actors out there that aren't working.
So do I now. But yeah, they sort of moved that away, and I let it go, but I've started to get back into it myself now, and it's
never too late. Never too late.
No, that's what I thought. I actually filmed my first scene. I did theatre. I played a pantomime dame at university as well. Which was It's got to be one of the best things I ever did. Was that? But yeah, I filmed. There's an independent film was up here, being done recently, and I got a part in there. It was a featured extra, so I got 15-20 lines. I'm quite integral.
Wow.
It was a nasty character.
That's about the size of my role in Outlander.
There you go. See, I could be an Outlander.
Yeah, that's it. No problem at all. You just go and get the horses when they tell you. Just go and get the horses, Ross. Yeah, I'll go and get the horses. No bother.
Yeah, see, I could do that.
Yeah, I could do that.
Right, I'll be up to Scotland soon. Get audition. Yeah, so it's kind of, I can see where you've followed that passion and gone back into it again, and to actually do what you've done and sort of help rescue the theatre as well. I mean, I was saving that till the end, but we might as well talk about that now since we're there. That seems to be fantastic. The Regal Theatre itself, and obviously it's doing very, very well now. And like we've just talked about, you've had people coming from all over the world to do a meet-up there. But obviously that's going to benefit the theatre more. It's going to get the name out more, and I can expand it even better.
Well, as I say, when I arrived at the theatre 5 years ago, it was going to be closing down, and a lot of local people, a lot of volunteers, much more people than me, got involved in it and decided that it wasn't going to shut on their watch, and they rallied round, and they managed to keep the theatre going for a few years. We're kind of running, but this is a bigger challenge. It's actually running the theatre. Because saving the theatre was one thing when people were kind of donating to save the theatre. Now we're kind of saying, look, we still need the same level of income to maintain it now,
Yeah.
It doesn't stop, it just continues on. And obviously we've got things like, we started a youth company and a children's theatre company and a HNC course some years ago, and they need mirrors on the walls. Now, for 5 years I've been giving a tour of the theatre and saying, and we'd like to put mirrors on these walls. and in the last 3 months we raised 95% of the money.
Whoa.
So since I went onto Twitter and Facebook and obviously started sharing videos about what's going on at the theatre, very kind people from all over the world have said, yeah, I'm happy to put in $20 or whatever and try and help the place. So, pretty amazing. That a wee bit overwhelming, and certainly a total surprise for me. But, long live the Regal. It's been here 78 years, and the people that had it before us looked after it enough for us to have it today. So hopefully we do our job and there'll be future generations still get to use it, because we've looked after it in our time with it.
Oh, fair enough. No, that's a great thing to do. And like you said, it's a community theatre as well, because you've opened youth theatre and everything in there as well. So it's all aspects of the community. It's somewhere for them to go and take part and enjoy and develop themselves.
I mean, there's 50 kids in our children's theatre school. That's on a Saturday morning, and that's anything between 5 and 13. Our youth company is a company of youths, obviously from 13 to 18, and the class has got 24 in it, and it's full. There's no more room on the class for any more. So, I mean, that's fantastic. And we've got a HNC course with musical theatre students. Collectively, there's 20 kids on that. Our side of that, and we've got 10 musical theatre students and 10 dancers. But they needed the mirrors, and that's what's been so amazing about the Outlander fandom is they've helped us to afford those mirrors, and they're on the walls now, and the kids are upstairs just now using them, which is just amazing.
That is fantastic. It's a pity you're not closer, because I'd join as well. I'll be there to learn how to, to progress myself. Since I'm doing that, getting into it would be a great place to learn. So, is there a website that people can go to as well? Something I'll probably let you publicise that people can go to and have a look at.
Yeah. If they want a wee nosy, you can jump onto it's www.Bathgate Regal. So Bathgate's the area we're from, Regal's the name of the theatre, then it's .org at the end. So that's www.bathgateregal.org, and you can go in there and have a nosy at what we do. There's videos of some of the things we're doing as well. There's links to the fundraising and what we're doing as well. But it's an exciting wee place to be. And there's tickets for next year's Highlander Fling as well that are on it, so you can come to that as well.
Excellent. I think I'll try and persuade the other half for that then.
Good man.
To get up there, cool. So going back again, did you or do you have any role models who inspired you or inspire you now, either in acting world or in your personal life, to become that sort of actor and where you are at the moment?
In my personal life, I grew up, with a single mum. So my wee mum, Joyce Wilson, raised me and my brother up, and since we were 3-year-olds, she was on her own with 2 boys. She worked 3 jobs and went without to make sure that we went with anything we needed. And that's one of the things, that we were never off school ill. I've never been the sort of person that's off ill anything, and that's because mum was always working away, and we couldn't be ill because she had to go to work. So that's kind of carried on. It must be in the genes now. So I owe a lot to my mum, and my gran. She's actually ill at the moment. She's in hospital, but she's 93,
I've seen that on the Twitter.
And she's one of the coolest people I've ever met. I mean, literally, I love hanging out with my gran, having a wee sing song. So yeah, on that, in terms of a human being level, if I could be half as good a person as my mum and my gran, I'd be really happy. And in terms of a career wise, I mean, there's so many people out there, to pick down to one. But films that I've enjoyed watching as I grew up are things like Clint Eastwood. We were on a Saturday morning watching Rawhide. As you're getting older, being allowed to watch the Dirty Harry movies. And recently like Gran Torino and stuff like that. Just amazing films. So I loved watching Mel Gibson stuff. With Braveheart, obviously growing up as well. You love that sort of film. So but probably too many to mention. But I'd say maybe Sean Connery as well. In terms of I loved him in The Rock. And obviously, he was
very good in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, I love The Rock, and he maintained his accent, and I'm all for that. I like the idea.
Yeah.
There's an actor now in the US that's in Sons of Anarchy, and it's Tommy. Oh, what's Tommy's
Flanagan?
name? Flanagan, yeah, Tommy
Flanagan. Yeah.
Tommy was in Braveheart as well, and when I seen him on Sons of Anarchy, and he's got his Scottish accent, I was like, oh yeah, go on yourself, Tommy. You've went to America and you didn't have to change it. That's what I'd love to do. I'd love to go over and you'd be known as a Scottish actor and they accept your accent and that would be really cool.
Yeah. So. Although Sean Connery, to be fair, in Highlander's got to be the best, wasn't he? What was he, an Egyptian, Spanish, Scott? But you didn't question it because he is. I mean, Sean Connery he's just one of those all time. I think we're of a similar age because I kind of grew up the same way with getting old enough to watch Dirty Harrys and stuff. So yeah, definitely
no.
Good inspirations there.
Yeah, definitely.
And I do hope your gran gets better as well. I know I've seen that on Twitter. You put the status on, so I do hope she.
Yeah, I think she had a wee infection and it played about her mind for a wee bit. But the thing is, she's 93 obviously, but she's getting better. So that she might be able to return home on Thursday, they were saying, which would be amazing if she gets home.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, hopefully. Keep fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Be in our prayers. Okay, next one, moving on. So you are an established stage actor as well as screen. Which is your preferred media? Or are they both equally as good when you're doing them at the time?
Yeah, probably. If you ask any actor, the best job is the one that's paying you at the time.
Yeah.
So I happily do whatever somebody's willing to pay them for. I would say, though, in all honesty, in my 20s, I loved the stage. That was the 20s was when I was treading the boards. For 5 years, I was doing the show, singing "I'm Not a Billy, He's a Tim." I played a soccer fan in that, a football fan, and I won the stage best actor.
Yeah, I saw that as well. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I won that in 2010, and because I was the producer of the show, to win the award meant so much more to me because I cast myself in the show. When you cast yourself, you've always got doubts as to whether you're just the guy that's gave yourself a job. Do you know what I mean? To win the stage best actor at the Edinburgh Festival when there was 40,000 performers, and I said to people when they picked a Glaswegian to win it, I was really taken aback by that. So yeah, I'd say in my 20s that's when I loved the stage. As I went into my 30s now, I enjoy the films, I'll enjoy the movies, and I enjoy the TV. And I think, as I'm being honest, there's probably more that I'm thinking now of having a family with my wife, and I'm thinking my kids will be able to see the films that I've done, the TV shows, so they'll be able to sit back and go, well, there's my dad playing a soldier, there's my dad in Outlander, there's my dad in Angel's Share. That although the stage stuff, I mean, some of the greatest nights in my life were on stage, but I can never share them with my kids. I mean, I can tell the story, but I can never show them it. Whereas with Outlander, we can stick on the DVD and I can watch it with the family. Do you know what I mean? When I'm long gone, hopefully those DVDs live on. And I'll be an ancestor of people that are sitting watching it, going, "Look at this."
He was my ancestor. Look what he's done.
That's my great grandfather. So
that's pretty impressive. I think as well, one of the main answers I get from there is the difference between stage and screen. Is stage much more intimate as well, and that's something I remember because my first ever filming was 3 weeks ago, and it was just as an extra. So I was sat for 12 hours for the day, and I think I actually worked for two and a half maybe. So there was a lot of sitting and waiting, and when you did your scene, you did 3 lines. but then you did your 3 lines again, and then until they get the camera angles all right. So I was worried about learning my lines, but by the end of it, I was like, I know I'm off the ball. This is not a problem because you've done. When you're in the theatre, you've got that intimacy. So you
only got one take.
Yeah, you've got one take. You've got to be a one-take wonder because if you get it wrong, everyone knows.
And it is a total different craft, and it's beautiful for that, the live show, that most times you're on stage, the show's different every night because the audience are different every night.
Yeah.
So although you're kind of saying the same things and going to the same places, it's a different show completely because the audience steer it a bit. They react to things, they get involved. Whereas on the screen, it's it's, as you say, there's a lot of prep that goes into it, and it's more about focus. Yeah. It's more about keeping focused when the camera isn't running, so that when the camera is running, you're on the ball.
Right there, exactly.
I mean, like we don't want to do is let your mind wander. You'll forget where your character's supposed to be and what you're doing. When they shout action, that's when you want to be seen. You want noticed when they're shouting action. When they're not shouting action, be invisible. that's what my experience in this set is. Trying to let everybody get on with their job, and when they shout action, you can do your job, but get out of the way until then.
Exactly, yeah. I've got to say, I was sat very, very quietly like a little mouse in the corner for most of it, because they were filming just at the other side of the room, so I was just like, don't say a word, don't do anything.
They might invite you back then. They might invite you back.
Hopefully, I did goof up though, and I'll tell you offline about that one, so because it was kind of spoil the character a bit. But
well, I'll tell you, when I was on Outlander, I had a scene with Sam and Kat, so it was Jamie and Claire's part, and it was I was to come in and say that Lord George requests your presence near the East Dyke. You're to come at once, right? And Sam's character goes, nods, and I shut the door. So we had to do this, like you'll know this. I was off camera for about 20 takes while they were filming Sam and Kat. Yeah. So I had to give them a line from off camera. So I kept saying my line off camera. Perfect, pitch perfect every time for 20 takes. They turned the camera around and they went action, and I went, it wouldn't have come out. And that's the thing, is that just that simple thing of when the camera's on you can totally just change your focus. Yeah. And it was. I'm hoping it's in one of the gag reels because everybody was laughing. But thankfully, second time round, nailed it, and they moved on, because you don't want to be the guy that can't say his lines. So they'll allow you one of them, but don't be. Time is money, so don't be wasting too much time.
Oh yeah, true, very true. Especially with lighting. That's something else I found as well with the lighting, which, because we had to get the stuff, they were rushing because the light was going dark, and it was like, we've got to get this done now. And it was like, the pressure gets on, and that's where it can be very tiring, long days for you guys. I was lucky because I did it one day.
A lot of the things on screen is the prep before they shout action. Do you know what I mean? And holding, try to keep the light, as you say, we were doing the movie Kijaki, or Kilo 2 Bravo in the States, and half of the day was filmed in the morning, obviously, and that's when they were focusing on one group of guys, because their stuff happened in the morning, and as the day went on, the second half of the day was kind of a total other group of actors, and all their stuff had to be filmed in the evening because of the certain way the light was. So the day was broke into two. So.
It's fascinating. That's what interested me a lot. I mean, my wife said, "You're not bored?" And it's like, well, no, because of that, it was. I was just sat there, and I felt like I belonged, but it was just seeing all the stuff and preparation that goes into one 3-minute long scene. It's just fascinating. It's a lovely craft to sort of be in and experience. I was actually going to move on to one of my next questions. Was talking about Kijaki.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Or Kilo 2 Bravo for American listeners, because I do have some. What was it like? Because obviously that's a real life story, and it was Corporal Stu Pearson you played, so that must have been pretty harrowing, because it's very, very fresh in our minds, because it was it's only in the past few years that we've just got out of there. So
it's the most recent conflict. It's a modern day war film, and we don't make many. The British don't seem to make them.
No,
we leave that down to the Americans. They're very good at celebrating their military history and stuff. We're not so great at it in the UK. It was a totally different experience. Playing a real person is a total different thing to prep for, because there's not as much room for you to play, if that makes sense. So when you get a character, you look at it, you go, oh, I could do this with this guy, I could make him this, I can make this interesting. When you get the script through for a true story, and the real soldier you're playing's alive, and he's going to be coming to see the show, and going to come to see the film with his friends and his family and his regiment, then the pressure is that you've got to represent him and his regiment and do a really good job. Because the worst thing would be is that, the guy that you've played standing there, and he doesn't think you've done a fair representation of what happened in his story, So yeah, it was a big pressure. I put an awful lot of prep in. I did a lot of research, a lot of internet stuff I was looking at before I met Stu Pearson. When I met Stu, I picked his brains. I got him awful drunk till the early hours, so I could try all the information I wanted to ask out of him.
Sure, as a squaddy, he wouldn't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we went to the movie premiere after it, he said to folk that it was 99.9% bang on, and he said Scott would have had to have been there on the day to have got it any better. He would have had to have been there. That's it. Yeah. So I'll take that. I'll take
that. Is very, very impressive.
Yeah, and as to be fair, I mean the cast. David Elliott, who played Mark Wright, who lost his life in the incident that the film's about. David won a Scottish BAFTA for his role in the film. The number 2 on the film was the Game of Thrones star Mark Stanley. Yeah. So Mark had been in Game of Thrones, I think, for 4 seasons, and I was number 3. So you're talking about a top class cast. You're looking around, going like, David's won his BAFTA, Mark's been in Game of Thrones, and I'm really proud of that. That I held my own amongst the company like that. So yeah.
Well, definitely, and to be told by the guy you portrayed that you got it 99.99% right is you cannot, as an actor, I think, get any better than that. Because I say the 100% would be if you were actually out there at the time in the shit, as they say, from the language.
His mum and his brother said it was, and that they know Stu, and they said you got the humour, you got the. Even Stu said to me, I couldn't believe when my character was standing still. He said you even held the weapon and stood the same way that I stand, and I was like, it's just homework. There's loads of pictures of Stu online that I was googling to find out. Kind of shows that literally, the funny thing with doing the true story was, when you're chatting to Stu told me certain parts of what he remembered. Yeah. Because obviously Stu lost his leg in an incident where he stood on a landmine. So he went up, and then after that, from that point on, he was getting morphine put in his body. Yeah. So I was chatting to him about when it exploded. I said, how did it feel? Kind of what happened after it. He said, I stood on the landmine. He says, I flew up in the air. I landed on the ground, and I said, oh, for sake. Right? That's his line. Yeah. And I took out my morphine and I put it in my leg, and all the training kicked in, and essentially for me to do that day. And in my head I was going, God, well, that's not going to make much of the soldier is there quite calm, just fixes everything after his leg's been blown off. And the pub with his mates, and we were 6 a.m, and I was saying to the guys about what Stu was telling me. I said Stu was telling me that he was really calm and that he did everything he'd been trained to do. And they said, did he? No, he didn't. He's screaming for his mammy. He says he was screaming, and then he said he was full of morphine, so he doesn't remember. We'll tell you what happened. So the nice thing was that kind of opened up artistic license, and it meant I could play the situation. I was going to go, right, okay, I'll give Stu, if you watch the film, you see it, he lands, and I give him his line. I say, oh, for F's sake. And then from then on, I say to him, the scene's mine. Then it's mine. I'm going to do it. I want to do it. So I'm very proud of it.
That is very, very good. What you just said as well. What he said. Sorry, it's just I'm one of these persons who flicks my mind going as well. I actually know some guys who are out in Vietnam as well. And what you just said is true. There's some of the horrific things that they go through, and there's one guy there who's very much the same. He going off on a tangent. Sorry, Scott.
Don't worry.
But he was there was a big. I won't go into it long. Big patrol went wrong. I think they were surrounded. There's about 15 of them. They got surrounded by like 300 NVA troops in the end, and it was all going off. And they just turned to this one guy who's a friend of mine now, Riley Cox, and he'd been split open in the middle. His one hand was all mangled, and he basically, when they turned round to try and get him onto the chopper, he refused to go. He was just picking up the machine guns and of people lying around, shooting, trying to protect his friends, saying, "Look, they're worse than me. You get them." And when he looked, his left hand, his right hand was all mangled, pushing his stomach back in, one hand on the shotgun, and they had to essentially drag the guy back because he was so fueled with adrenaline. And he's had 35 surgeries in the following 2 years for that.
Wow.
But yeah, he's suffering now with cancer and stuff, as all the crap they gave you. But yeah, no, I think what you just said about Stu is probably very similar as well. I stepped under mine, for sake. It's that kind of, the adrenaline gets to you so much when you're in that kind of a situation that you just carry on. But obviously then the morphine kicks in, like in Stu's case, and you just off your head. Sorry, I know that's a tangent story there.
Not at all. It's interesting to hear. Interesting.
Yeah, that's how I started interviewing. I did it a couple of years ago. It was Vietnam veteran. We used to run a reenactment group, which I guess is kept me acting going, because I was doing that on weekends and teaching people how they lived and stuff for several years. And I ran that, and I ended up meeting a few in Vietnam, also online, and spoke to Vietnam veterans, said, look, I'm not exactly the shape that you guys were when you were in the war. Would you mind if I portray? And they were so grateful. They said, no one's ever done this. I've got patches which were made off the only uniforms they brought back with them. They sent me the airborne eagles and stuff, and badges and maps and books and everything. Phenomenal guys. And I did it for a history teacher friend of mine in Doncaster for his class. I interviewed a couple of them.
Wow, well, good on you. I mean, these are stories that need to be told. So
yeah, Joe Galloway. Thank you. Joe Galloway was one of them. He's. Do you remember We Were Soldiers?
Yes, I do.
The photographer, the combat photographer, played by Barry Pepper.
Ah, right.
It was the original guy, Joe Galloway, the original person. I've had him on the show. I spoke to him, and he was great because he had a completely different angle to a guy who was a ranger. Because the ranger was all like gung ho, and he really supported what he did there, whereas Joe Galloway had the vision of, the other side of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking, at the movie premiere of Kajaki, when we were chatting to the press, they were saying, it must have been such a hard job to work in that conditions in the desert, with that heat, Scott. It must have been 12-hour days. And I'm like, I can't really comment because I'm standing next to Stu Pearson, who did it for real under fire. Do you know what I mean? Like, we had ice bottled water, we had umbrellas, we had a 5-star hotel to go back to. I can't really claim that it was really hard work because Stu's standing next to me, and he wouldn't let me tell you it was hard work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your nice 5-star hotel. He had a piece of canvas to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do. Full respect for anyone who does that. I really do. And I think you hit the nail on the head as well when you mentioned about the film, and the fact that it's one of the first, or the rare British films to portray the war situation, because we do, in my personal opinion, this is, but I think we lack that passion and respect, I think, of the armed forces and what they actually do. We don't have the same pride that the Americans have, because it brings tears to my eyes when I see some of the pride that they've got with the ceremonies and what they, how they treat it, and then I'll see how we're treated over here, and I'm not going to get you don't want to get you involved in case you get in trouble, but that's just my view. I just think we don't celebrate and we don't.
No, I think Kajaki was a film that most of the people that left the cinema after watching Kajaki had a different viewpoint on what being in the military was. I think they started to realise, wow, these guys are incredible. Do you know what I mean? The guys go over there with very little resources in terms of kind of the med kits and stuff that they have when something goes wrong, and they do a wonderful job with what they have.
Exactly, they do. I mean, you're right. And they were so under-equipped as well for a lot of stuff. So yeah, they do an absolutely fantastic job. Cool. So moving on, I could talk all night, as you can gather, about that kind of thing. How did you feel going on to Highlander, going on to Outlander? Sorry. How did it feel when you were told you'd been successful for the casting for that? Because obviously by season 2, you knew how big the show was.
Well, I'll tell you what happened was I was working at the Edinburgh Festival. I was doing a stage play at the Edinburgh Festival for a Finnish theatre company, and I got a phone call from my agent saying, could you go and audition for this show called Outlander? Yeah. So I went home that night and I looked at the script they'd sent, and my wife and I started watching season 1. And I think 3 episodes in, she's saying, do you want to watch another one? Do you want to watch another one? And I don't know how many we watched in the first night, but we just kept watching it and watching it. Yeah. And over the next couple of days, we hoovered up the whole for the first season. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And I kept saying to her, I said, imagine me walking in with Sam and the other cast. Imagine I got a part and I'd be walking in. And then I went to the audition in Edinburgh. I thought it went really well. It was only a few lines, but I'd done as much homework and prep as I could for it. Yeah. I actually studied a lot of the other characters' lines to try and get a subtext going on, because I didn't have loads of lines. Yeah. So I thought I have to get a subtext going on with a lot of the other things that I'm doing. I have to do a lot off lines, a lot of act when I'm not speaking, because I don't have loads of lines. So I thought the audition went well, and then my wife and I were hiring a car for the weekend. We went down to Loch Lomond, and I got a phone call from my agent when we were in the hire car place, and the agent said, Outlander have offered you the job. So I received this information on the phone. I turn around to my wife and I say to her, I've got the Outlander job. And she's like, yes, that's brilliant. And I say to her, we're not going to Mexico, because we'd booked a holiday and we were supposed to be going to Mexico. They said, we're not going to Mexico, and she instantly bursts out crying and starts crying to me in the hire place where we're hiring the car. And I'm like, no, give me a hug. I'm like, we'll go on another holiday, it'll be fine. So yeah, that was that. And then so I got offered, I think it was 4 weeks initially that I was supposed to be on the show. That was the first offer. So it was 4 weeks. So what I'd done was I phoned up a travel agent and I said, look, can we move our holiday by 6 weeks? Because I've got a job I'm doing for 4 weeks. They said, no problem, it'll cost you £400. That's fine. Paid the £400, moved the holiday, went and filmed Outlander, and then they said, we'd like to keep you on for another 4 weeks. And I was like, oh no, I need to tell the wife again that we're not going to Mexico. And I remember speaking to the agent and I said, look, I don't know, do you mean, what do you think? Do you think I should just say no and go on the holiday with my wife and save my marriage? And my agent said, Scott, you're not going to Mexico. That's what my agent said, you're not going to Mexico. You don't say no to Outlander. He's like, you're doing it. I was like, all right, okay. And thankfully my wife didn't divorce me. So, yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Cool. So it's initially a bittersweet one then.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Oh dear. Well, it's good to see that you are still married. And
well, yeah, now she'll be divorcing me because of the time I'm spending on Twitter and Facebook chatting to people.
I know, yeah. So I don't want to keep you too
my
long.
coat's always on a sugary peg. It's always on a sugary peg.
Your dinner thrown out on the floor when you get home.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. What was the atmosphere like on set? This is the last question I have before we get on to fan questions. The atmosphere, again, we've talked briefly about the kind of show it is and how they interacted with fans. How were they on set? Well, was it a welcoming set? Was it friendly?
Oh yeah, I remember one of the nicest things was obviously going in, you look at the script, you know, you get Simon Callow, cast like that, Graham McTavish, you know, Katrina, Sam, you know, Stephen, these guys that have got loads of experience doing other things. And I'm going in and I've got 4 lines. Do you know what I mean? I've got 4 lines in one of the episodes. So my first read through it, I think I had about 4 lines to read. So I was going in thinking probably nobody will notice me or pay much attention to me because I'm only doing my 4 lines. And I remember sitting down at the read through table. So you sit at the table together and you read the story, you read the script together. Yeah. And Sam tapped me on the shoulder when I was sitting down and he said, "Hiya Scott, I'm Sam." And I was like, yeah, I know who you are. Do you know what I mean? But it's really cool that you've taken the time to find out who I am and you've taken the time to say hello. So things like that and Kat and Stephen, that are just very welcoming. It's the explanation I say to folk is going onto the show for me felt a bit like jumping onto a merry-go-round as a kid. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you used to jump on the merry-go-round and you had to time it perfectly so as you landed and you went with the merry-go-round and you didn't get flung off. Yeah. And that felt like you knew the show was really successful. It was very successful before I arrived. Yeah. So it wasn't needing my input. You know, it just needed somebody to play the role that I was going to be playing, and I was fortunate enough to be given that. So I felt I had to time it right, jump on at the right time, be in the same level as the guys that were there, and then when it was time to get off, be able to step off. You know, and people wish you well on the way rather than throwing you off. You know. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Some of the best times in my life was being on the show. At the same time, you're asking the atmosphere. I mean, when we were doing some of the battle scenes, I mean that was quite emotional. I just came from obviously doing Kajaki, which was a war film, and it was a modern day war film. So, and lying in the desert floor, playing real people, you know, and listening to words that had been said by real soldiers, was very emotional. And then coming in and playing a Highlander who back in the 1700s, you know, kind of might not have been, it's not a true story in the sense that these words are his, but the situation was the same. Yeah, you're playing somebody who would have been in the situation that you're playing, and having to tell that story. So it's emotional when you see, you know, 400 redcoats across the field, and you look round and you've got 400 Highlanders behind you. You can't help but feel you've been transported through time. Yeah, you know, it's emotional, very emotional.
I think that's what Braveheart captured as well. Outlander does it brilliantly, but that's the Braveheart. That's what everyone, even as historically inaccurate as it is, there's always that moment where you've got the, you know, or not. It's not just Brave. Any of those, you know, you can just see that that's going to be a raw emotional scene when you've got that many people just facing each other, and especially for you with Outlander, redcoats and the history of the redcoats and the bloody history of what they did, you know, and. I guess it all comes to the forefront then. It just something that's just, you know, you really feel the passion of those guys 200 to 300 years ago. 250 years ago.
Yeah, just stories that have been passed on, you know. And I had never visited Culloden until I got involved with the show. So actually, after filming, I went up and did the tour of Culloden, and it was strange because obviously there's loads of tourists there. Everybody's probably feeling emotional, but I could visualise the guys that I stood with. You know, when they were staying in the Scots lined up here, and in my head I got a very clear picture of the faces of the guys that I lined up with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And looking out, we actually looked across a field at Redcoats. So when I was standing on Culloden, I had a very, very clear picture of what they've been like. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was definitely very emotional.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yes, that's actually a very interesting take on how you can sort of get involved and get that emotion going for that. Yeah. Very, very cool. Cool. Well, not really cool.
Yeah, it was a cool job. It was a very, very cool job to be involved in, definitely.
I can imagine it's an awesome show. Like you, I sat and watched episode 1. It was just like, season 1 can't stop. I've got to stop. I've got to go to bed. No, I can't. I can't. It's one of those.
One more episode. Then
exactly. Yeah. It's great. Okay, so moving on to, I've got a couple of questions from fans here as well. Before we finish off, so Gina Pust has asked.
I know Gina. Yeah, Gina. Talk to her on the internet all the time.
Have you been asked back to season 3 or even season 4?
I was only ever a very, very small part in season 2, and I wanted to be transparent with the fans. I think originally I was supposed to be in 3 episodes, and I ended up getting 6 episodes. And I was never promised or expected anything beyond that. So no, the answer was I was in season 2. That's what I did, and it was wonderful.
Cool. Fair enough. She also asks, how's the project with Regal Animation going?
Regal Animation is very, very exciting. I met Fraser Murdoch, who runs Regal Animation. I met him on the Outlander set.
All right.
So he was doing visual effects for Outlander, and he gave me a wee leaflet, and it was an animated film he was doing called Bab, the Man Who Took Too Much.
Right.
And I said, look, I don't know anything about animation. I says, but I do work at a cinema. The Regal's a cinema and a theatre. If you want to show your film here, and you want to come down and get involved, we've got loads of passionate people that would maybe help you with a project. So yeah, long story short, we've done a showcase last weekend, and we put up all the videos and all the animated cartoons. People in the community came to see what the animation's all about, and we're doing another one. I think we've got 2 booked. We've got one in January 2017 and one in September 2017. And we're working on the movie Bab, which he handed me a leaflet for, and I'm playing Bab. So I'm now playing the lead part in the film that he handed me a leaflet for. So that's a bit mad, that Outlander connection, that Fraser was working on Outlander, gave me a leaflet for his film, and now I'm the lead role in his animated film.
That's
pretty cool. Yeah, it's a bit mad. So, and I'm looking forward to playing an animated character. I've won awards for being on stage. I've been in films that have won BAFTAs. I'm hoping that Outlander will be winning awards at some point. They're bound to come. And it'd be nice to be involved in an animated project in some way, shape or form, and get to have fun with that. So looking forward to it.
That's pretty cool. Okay. Susan G, she's saying, is there an actor with which you would love to work? We kind of touched on it earlier. I think I can maybe inspiration.
Yeah, probably. As I said, probably Clint Eastwood. If I get a chance to work with Clint, I know he's he must be close to retirement. Maybe he'd come out of retirement to do a film with us or something. I don't. But to be honest, working with any actor is a total joy. I mean, going on to the Outlander set, I mean, I never knew most of the guys on the Outlander set, but the experience and the fantastic people on it was an absolute dream. So yeah, I suppose I'd just like to continue working, would be the answer to that one. And anybody I worked with, I'd be delighted to work with them and learn from them, because I think that's a big thing. You walk on a set. I was very fortunate. The scene that Sam and Graham were doing, and it's Dougal's death. You know the scene I'm talking about? My wee bit where I come in and I've fluffed up my lines that I was telling you earlier on.
Oh yeah.
Scene that's just before that. And I was lucky enough that when they were coordinating the fight and staging the fight, I was in the room. So I got to stand in the room in the corner and watch the fight getting blocked. So I knew the ending, even though I'd seen the ending, even though I wasn't in the scene, because I was standing in the corner watching it, and Katrina was there, and they were having a good laugh about how the death was going to be and rolling around the floor and stuff, and just watching them all having a good time, and kind of, I just felt I was a fly on the wall, essentially, just watching what was going on. That was a dream as well. So even when you weren't acting in it, just being there watching other people was fantastic.
Excellent. It does sound brilliant. It was long for that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sharon Antes is asking, it's very similar to the actor you'd like to work with, is there any particular role that would interest you, any sort of dream role that you would have?
A dream role, I don't know. Instantly, people kind of think of things like James Bond, don't they? I think we've done this, maybe the Sean Connery James Bond, so I might have passed I think if anybody's going to get it, it'll be Big Sam. He's next in the running. No, I don't really know, to be honest. I think like everything, the most exciting role that you ever get is your next one. You know, that's the most important job's the next one. So whatever lands on your desk at the next time is the role that, you know, that's kind of your dream role, and you want to make it. Every role you do, you want that to be something that you're remembered for. You know, and the nice thing was I enjoyed the role I did in Angel's Share, where I got to play Clancy and working with Ken Loach. And people from the US might not be aware of Ken Loach, but in the UK cinema, he's huge, and he's a legend, absolutely. So getting to work with him was a dream. Going on to Kajaki was working with the King's Speech producers. It was another dream working with these guys. And Outlander, obviously, I mean, although Outlander for me was probably the smallest role that I've played in all the things I've done, it was by far the hugest project and the biggest show. So I was I was lucky. I felt I was going in, I was relaxed. I was very much in my comfort zone. I knew the stuff that I was given to do, that I could do it, and I could do it well. So I didn't feel as much pressure. And if anything, I got to enjoy the 12 weeks that I was on it, you know, the 6 episodes I filmed. Yeah. Could relax, because they weren't turning around and going, okay, Scott, this is your big giant scene where you're the starters. None of that was happening. It was just kind of, right, Scott, your wee bit, right, and you were just a part of a huge, big, moving, fantastic story. So,
fantastic, excellent. That's a perfect answer. Thank you, Susan G and Sharon. Both asked as well, are there any upcoming film projects that you're on, which kind of follows on from?
Yeah, other than the animation one at the moment, to be honest, it's not. I'm very fortunate. I'm not like a lot of other actors. When a job comes up, I have to fit the job around my work. Whereas I don't sit about all year kind of waiting for the phone to ring. I'm pretty busy, and when the phone rings, I need to see if I'm free to go and do things. Yeah, so nice. I get to say no sometimes. There's not often I do say no, but I have to consider things. I have to speak to the theatre before I take an acting job. I have to speak to my wife, obviously, and I have to make sure that I'm not running away, and the theatre's got to be left on its own, because the theatre ultimately is my full-time job. That's what I do, and the acting's something that I do kind of whenever the opportunity comes up. But I don't think I'd be dropping the theatre to run away and be a movie star in Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? This is where I am, and I'll jump out and do wee projects and hopefully inspire the youngsters that are here and jump back in again. So I'm fortunate in that sense that when opportunities come, I get to go and do them. But I don't know what the next one is, and I don't know that many actors do. They might tell you that there's something they can't tell you about, but I don't know if that's ever true. When people say, I can't tell you about it, I'm going, that means they're not working.
Yeah, that means they've got nothing. They're just trying to keep you going. Well, that's a really grounded answer. I think what you've just said there, from chatting to you for the past 40 minutes or so, well, nearly an hour, is inspire, and I think I can see that in the time we've chatted, and you've got such a passion, especially for the theatre as well. So I do believe that what you're doing, is great, and the kids will be inspired by you, seeing you, and the roles that you've played. But that fact that you are very firm, your feet are firmly grounded. And
well, I'll tell you this: I went into the cafe bar earlier on today, and there was a group using the room, so I had to go in and clean up the teas and coffees, all right, on a trolley. So I was moving the teas and coffees, and the girl that was hiring the room after the group that were leaving came in with her daughter. Yeah. And she said, "Oh, Scott," she said, "my daughter was starstruck when she seen you." I says, "Well, I'm cleaning the cups just now. I'm going in to wash the dirty cups, so I'll be back in a minute and I can say hello." And so that's kind of my day to day, and I think that's probably a good thing, that the cups need washed. So somebody's got to do them, and I'm as good as anybody to do them. Do you know what I mean? So all good.
It's a fantastic sort of attitude and thing to portray, and like I say, inspiration is probably the better word for it, because that little girl will now see, that no matter who you are, you still got to do the dishes.
The dishes need done.
Exactly, and they're not going to do themselves unless you've got dishwashing.
I'll tell you one more funny story was we did the premiere of Kajaki at the theatre here at the Regal. We did a movie premiere, so the caretaker was outside putting out the red carpet on the steps, and he was taping it all down so that when the guests arrived, they walked up the red carpet into the theatre. Yeah. And I arrived in my kilt, and the caretaker was out sticking down the carpet, and I said, "Hiya, Dick." He's the caretaker. I said, "Hiya, Dick." He said, "Hiya, Scott." He said, "Just so you know, there won't be a red carpet tomorrow when you come to work." And it was very true. Yeah, I was one night only. You might be a movie star tonight, but tomorrow you won't be when you arrive at work.
Exactly. Tomorrow you're back to being the manager and the runner.
Yes, Exactly, that's it. Back to the day job.
Exactly, that's awesome. Last kind of question is from Shari. She says, you're so sweet to follow. All people who follow you on Twitter, which we talked about at the very beginning.
Yeah.
How much of your time does that actually take each day?
Yeah, it does. It takes up an awful lot of time, and to be honest, though, I'm very committed to it because people all over the world have donated money to the theatre and have supported the theatre, and it's making a real difference to what I do day to day. So going up to, tonight I know that we made a wee video of the kids saying thank you, standing next to the mirrors, right? Because the donations that people have come in, they might have donated it because I was in Outlander and they want to support the theatre, but the impact it's going to make on those youngsters and other people just blows my mind. And I think the least I can do is jump on Twitter, thank people, answer messages when they message me. Some days it takes up loads of time, and the good thing is I say to the office staff, well, I'm working, this is work. It's work. So.
Yeah. No, it is really lovely to be able to, and I say it's absolutely amazing and fantastic the support that our theatre's got as a result of social media. Just an amazing thing, I think, and I'm really happy for you on that one. Cherie and Susan G both asked the last question, which was any plans to visit the US anytime in the near future?
If they'll have me, I will be there.
Like we said before, pimp yourself to a Comic-Con. Yeah,
that's it. To be honest, I would love to be over there doing certain things. Like somebody said, we're going to Tartan Week. If they invited me to that, I would definitely love to go over.
Yeah.
The reality is that my wee budget of my housekeeping doesn't stretch that far, and me and the wife would need to save up a wee bit. So I'm hoping that maybe one of the conventions or something will book me, and I'll get to go over and meet as many folk as possible, and have a good time and get to see some America. Because I've only ever been to Vegas on holiday, but I'm sure that the rest of America is no like Vegas.
Exactly. There you go. All the American Outlander fans and Canadian Outlander fans start petitioning for the Comic Cons, and get you and your wife over there.
If they book me, I'll be there.
Excellent. Right. Just before I wrap this up, is there anything last words that you would like to say to the fans who are listening?
Yeah, there is actually. So thank you for giving me the platform. Just a thanks to everybody out there who's supported the theatre and supported me. As I say, for a tiny role in Outlander, I did my 6 episodes in S2, and the fact that people were hoping to see me again in the future was really nice to see. And the fact that so little screen time that I had, I was able to make an impact in the story. And be remembered by people means an awful lot to me, because I never thought I was going to go in and anybody would be given two monkeys about this guy Ross. I just thought I'd go in, play the wee part, and that would be it, something for me to treasure. Whereas the fan art and the Save Ross campaign and all that is just kind of blew my mind, to be honest. So thank you, and long may it continue.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you once again, Scott. An absolute pleasure and honour to talk with you. I hope everyone enjoyed listening, and please share this out wherever you can and wherever you think people would like to hear it. This has been Chris Gordon, and you've been listening to Hellblazer.biz, bringing you interviews with stars of TV and film. Good night.